Hello there, lovely listeners and viewers. You are back down the red rabbit hole, and you'll be glad to know that author Harriet Fox is still alive and well and is ready to talk about the Jack the Ripper suspects with us. And as usual, I am one of your hosts. I'm NV Peacock, otherwise known as Nikki, and with me is Lisa Shepherd. Lisa.
Hello, I'm here.
Runner,
I'm
mother,
not a
comedian,
ripperologist.
therapist. No.
I'm a ripper-offerologist. That's what I am. I'm ripper-offering your knowledge. And being a little bit like Long Liz and just trying my luck, see how I get on.
Hustling by.
And if you don't know who Long Liz is, folks, go back and listen to part 1 of this episode with Harriet, where you'll hear all about the victims, including Long Liz. Although we're not sure if Long Liz actually is, are we? That's what
we did wonder. So Harriet Fox is with us, author of The Women in the Shadows, where the women of Whitechapel get hold of Jack the Ripper, and we teased everyone with a suspects list. Harriet, so come on, let us know, who's your top suspect?
Well, about 3 or 4 chapters into writing this book, I suddenly realised with a fair amount of horror that I was going to have to solve the Jack the Ripper case in order to write about it. Like, I suddenly went, oh my God, I'm going to have to choose a suspect. So I based all my suspects in the book quite loosely on real suspects, but like fictionalized them quite a lot. I am not convinced by any of the list that is bandied around. I don't think any of them were Jack the Ripper. I don't believe any of them could have done it. And I don't really know who did. I've got a few theories about what sort of person it was. I think it was probably someone who was trustworthy, maybe someone in some sort of position of authority, or someone the women might have thought were coming to help them rather than hurt them. I think it was there was a lot of talk at the time that it was like a lunatic or someone, I guess, who was like losing their mind. But I don't think that. I think it was someone quite clever and quite calculating, more like, I think, what we would call like a psychopath now, that kind of learning from mistakes and how they'd done the previous murders and going on again to change and adapt. And but none of the suspects really, I always think when I read about them, I think, nah, they couldn't have done that because X, Y, and Z. So it's interesting. There's so many suspects as well.
There's a long list of suspects. We've covered a few of them on here. We had Tony McMahon on, didn't we, the other week? And he wrote a non-fiction book all about Tumblety.
Tumblety.
He was quite an interesting suspect. But he'd linked
He's really interesting.
Tumblety, before he became a Jack the Ripper suspect, was actually considered part of the Abe Lincoln shooting.
Yes, he was, but I didn't know if that was true or whether he just because he talked the talk. He was a bit like Long Liz. I think he would have gone well with Long Liz.
Yeah, he was very much like a Barnum type.
Yes, yes.
He put forward quite a lot of evidence as to why he thought he could have been Jack the Ripper, because he was a bit of a frustrated surgeon, and he also had a collection of uteruses in jars that he pulled out at parties for some reason. But he was also gay, and to me, I'm not convinced a gay man would go out. I mean, obviously you can get serial killers who are gay, but a gay man killing women, to me, we've never really seen it.
I think that's quite interesting, because I think certainly there's a difference, isn't there, between the suspects that were suspects at the time and then the suspects that were suspects like in the 1970s when there was a resurgence of interest, or now, like. But I think the suspects who were suspects at the time are from all walks of life, and they are all very different. And what they all have in common is that they were somehow other than the normal male thing, you know, at the time, like whether they were Jewish or they were just foreign or they were
like perhaps scapegoats, weren't they?
Yeah,
the police were really fumbling at the time.
Yeah,
so anyone who didn't fit the norm or stood out in some way, like you said, were probably put quite high up on the list.
I mean, and gay or whatever, you know, anything that was a bit different. I think that's I think Tumblety is quite a convincing one. And I think, isn't there something about, I can't remember, I know I should know this, one of the women was wearing brass rings and they were gone from the body, and then they were on his body. Had brass rings
when he died,
but you know, they could have been anyone's, you know.
They could have
but it is quite convincing. He is a good suspect, I think, but
he was also really tall. He was almost like 7 foot tall, which would have been very much
really
sticky outy. He was a really tall American guy that was quite brash and wore like the best stuff, and apparently he walked around with jewels and gold on his person.
Everyone knew who he was.
So I can't imagine he blended in Whitechapel, which you'd have to do those kind of murders. But Tony also mentioned that he had a sidekick who was like
Batman and Robin.
some sort of Texan Jack or something he was called. Do you remember, Lise? Or am I talking crazy?
Texan Jack.
But again, that's the two men, remember?
Yeah, that is quite convincing. I have got a suspect. One of the suspects in my book is based on Tumblety, and he does have the collection in the story, and he is quite convincing suspect. I think of all of them, I think he's probably the most convincing.
Well,
because a lot of them are just because they were a bit foreign.
You've also got Patricia Cornwall, who kind of came in terms of like Walter Siggert. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that right. Who's the very dark, tortured artist who looked like he was, you know, was a killer in some of his works.
I think so. Walter Siggert, I think, is really interesting. Again, I've got a suspect in my book based on Siggert. He, I think he was a ripperologist at the time. He was like maybe the first ripperologist, because everyone was really interested in these killings. Everyone was like, even Queen Victoria was like writing to the police going, "Oh, have you thought it might be this person?" And and Siggert was really obsessed with the murders, and he was like doing all this research himself. And I think that he wrote some of the letters to the news agency. I think he did do that. I think that's, but I don't think he was the killer. If you saw it, like, I don't, even though I think he wrote the letters, I don't think he was Jack the Ripper. I think he was claiming.
It's not mutually exclusive, is it? Because people quite often, confess to things or do things for the attention.
Totally. And he was a bit weird. And then he painted this painting of his own bedroom, and the painting is called Jack the Ripper's bedroom. And so people also say, well, look at this, he painted this painting of his bedroom. But his landlady knew that he was really obsessed with Jack the Ripper when he rented the room. She was like, "Oh yeah, Jack the Ripper lived here, and so that's like an extra £5 a week on your rent." And and so he like took the rooms because he thought Jack the Ripper lived there. I mean, why he thought that the landlady hadn't then gone to the police, I don't know. But so she had told him that the bedroom had been lived in by Jack the Ripper, and then he painted a picture of him. So there's lots of, I mean, he doesn't look good. He doesn't sound like the sort of person you'd want to hang out with, but I don't think he was.
Oh, you speak for yourself, Harry. He sounds like a gent to me. If he's willing to keep me warm and buy me drinks all night, then
I don't think he would. He doesn't sound. No, he'd be better off with her.
But also, in terms of art and the bedroom, like, piece that he did, he could have been, because art isn't always what it seems. So it could be that he was just trying to say it could be anybody. This is a normal room, that's true. And therefore, it could have been anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. He does sound a bit
dodge.
Yeah, and his artwork is quite unsettling. It's like when you look at some of the paintings, it's almost like they're at the wrong I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like they're from a funny perspective or something, and they
But
sort of
they
make you
make you
feel a bit,
feel, yeah, which is very
yeah,
clever to me. I mean, I think that's
really
quite clever
clever.
to especially
Yeah,
in them days where there was no real photography to that degree, that to be able to, it's not like he had an iPhone with an app on it that he could just do.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
and then of course we've had very recently the Catherine Eddowes shawl
Yeah, yeah. I've got
nightmare
no
that,
time for that.
yeah, no, I didn't, because I just thought, well, DNA is not a conclusive nowadays, let alone
No.
something from 100 odd years ago. And quite
And you can imagine
frankly,
how many people have got that shawl out and gone, look
look,
at this
yeah, it's a murder
shawl,
shawl. It's the
with
murder
their hands
shawl.
all over it and
Yeah,
touching it and breathing on
but
it and
it was Aaron Kaminsky's DNA that was found on it.
Kosminski.
And quite frankly, as we now know, DNA can be transferred in the smallest of ways. So they could have sat in the same chair. He could have
Yeah,
sneezed on her. He could have,
yeah.
had sex with her. We just don't know. There's so many ways that DNA could have got on there that wasn't anything to do with her murder.
No, I think Aaron Kosminski. I think this is him. He was losing his mind. He was, and
Mm.
he. It's really sad because he knew that he was losing his mind, and he said to people, you need to lock me up because I'm going to hurt someone," and he was eventually locked up, and then he died. But I think he was, again. I think he just had a foreign name, and he was a bit
Yeah.
loopy, and so I feel like if you were Jack the Ripper, you wouldn't beg someone to like,
No, you'd be enjoying yourself, wouldn't you? Out there with your knife
yeah,
and your uterus
yeah,
just.
yes, in your jaws. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think there's so many reasons why. I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard.
So
I felt like,
does it ruin the book if you tell us who your money would be on?
yes, it does. So I'm not
It
going to
does.
tell you.
Okay, don't.
It
Okay,
is not one of the people we've discussed.
okay. So do you want me to tell you
It's
who my money's on?
yes, I do. Very much
And
so.
okay, so my money is on a guy called James Kelly. Have you heard of
Was he the
James Kelly?
teacher? Was he?
No.
No.
So
Okay.
James Kelly was an upholsterer,
Good.
and
Good tools.
yep, and like ripping open stuff.
Oh, yes.
And he murdered his wife in the exact same way that Jack the Ripper's victims were killed.
No.
And he got caught for it, obviously. And he claimed to hear voices. So they sent him to Broadmoor rather than to prison. And he escaped from Broadmoor. He fashioned a key and got out.
Oh my God.
And he got
He's
out
quite enterprising.
I know, he got out just before the first murders.
Oh.
And then he decided to, after the last murders, he jumped on a boat and went to America. And that was where you start getting the headlines of Ripper hits Boston, Ripper hits New York. And it's like everywhere he'd gone, there was Ripper headlines. But then after like 50 years on the run, he goes back to Broadmoor, Harriet. The cheek of it, just walks up and says, "I'm done now," and just goes back to Broadmoor.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But you've got to see, if you Google, you'll see photos of him, and you could see he was dead behind the eyes. There was just it was like shark eyes. There was nothing there. And I could fully understand that he was,
That's really interesting.
But I also thought with Mary Kelly, you saying that she trusted, well, they had the same surname. Maybe they were related somewhere along the line. So maybe she did trust him.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. God.
But that's who my money is on.
That's a good one. I've done a few of the like the Ripper tours around Whitechapel, and one of the tours I went on, there was somebody who was training to be a tour guide, was on the tour with us, and she said, when I said to her, "Who do you think it is?" She said, "I don't think there was one killer. I think it was just lots of different murders, and somebody lumped them all together." I thought that was quite interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could see differences, but you could also see escalation.
I see escalation.
I mean, he was definitely a disorganized killer, because he was I don't think he was targeting anyone in particular. I think it was whoever he got his hands on. He was opportunistic. And it was a
and I do think
attack.
Really frenzied. And I think that the women, well, certainly the first ones, not Mary Jane Kelly so much, but the women were very vulnerable. Like Annie Chapman was so poorly. She'd been to the hospital that day, and the nurses had basically said to her, "We can't do any more for you." She had really advanced TB. You need to go home and die. Except she didn't, because she didn't have a home. So she was, she could barely walk. Like these women were so weak and so drunk or so whatever, that opportunistic and frenzied.
But also, just like I said, very brave. In the last episode, we were talking about like the streets were very dark, but there was still people, there was a lot of people that couldn't afford their own houses, that weren't in those DOS places because, they couldn't afford the penny for the night.
No, just walked around and they had to keep walking because the police would move them on. So they had to keep going.
Police with the lamp going round.
Yeah. And so I think, really brazen to just do it on the street and then be gone.
Yeah, in the night. That's why, to me, someone that blends in, someone that, can easily just, and someone who's got the confidence to break out of Broadmoor to to tell everyone to know, to say, I hear voices, to get into a better place to break out of, someone who's cunning like that.
That's really calculated, isn't it?
That's
really, very manipulative. That's horrible.
But also with the tools as well, because he had all his upholsterer stuff. So they said that it wasn't almost surgical, but not surgical. So you'd be like, okay, well, it's someone who half knows what they're doing. But it was like he was taking the stuffing out of couches.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a very plausible theory.
Perhaps he just hated his wife so much he wanted to relive her murder, as much as he could.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there are some men that just really hate women, aren't there? Still now. So
a lot of them have podcasts.
Yes. What fun.
and have social media platforms for whatever reason.
Not that they're all murderers.
Well,
do you think we would have solved it if we had social media at the time? Could you imagine?
Yeah, well, do you know what? It's so interesting though, looking back at because my background is journalism, and so I'm really interested in like the press reporting of the murders and how people reacted to it. And it was like sort of the first true crime case where people were really getting involved, and some of the enterprising people in Whitechapel realized that like the posh people from the West End were interested in this. And they started like letting out their living rooms so that the posh people could come and like stand in their living rooms and look out onto a street scene in Whitechapel. And they called it slumming it. And that's where the phrase came from. And so they would like, people are getting rich on this. Like they'll go, oh yeah, come and give me 2 pence and you can stand in my living room for 10 minutes. It's like quite enterprising. And there was waxworks, like tableaus set up of the murder scenes, and lots of songs written, like ballads and songs about the murders and all sorts of stuff. And like these letters that were being written to the police and to the newspapers, like hundreds and hundreds of letters. There were the famous ones like the Dear Boss letters and the ones where they're from hell letters. But like there were loads, and like I say, even Queen Victoria was getting in on the act and writing to the police and telling them what she thought of the case and who she thought they should be looking at.
Oh,
and
who did she say?
Well, she said she was very unhelpful, I think. And so her 2 really helpful suggestions were that they needed better lighting in Whitechapel, which they did, and which they had sort of begun to do after the first murders, but which is like a really slow
process
and also really expensive. And Whitechapel was not worth wasting money on. And her other suggestion, which I think is really funny, is that she thought it was a sailor coming and going, which I guess is a bit like the Yorkshire Ripper, like somebody that could move around. Yeah. But she thought it was a sailor. So her really helpful suggestion was to search every boat that came into the docks and see if the murderer was on board. And I can really imagine like the police reading that letter and going, what? Like every ship, seriously, like every single one. So obviously the police didn't have the resources.
She went
I think
full on Agatha Christie then, didn't she? She was.
Really, oh yeah, she was really engaged with it. Yeah, she was properly.
Because there was a royal conspiracy, wasn't there, to do with Jack the Ripper?
Yeah.
That all these prostitutes had slept with one of the princes and that they wanted
Her
born a
grandson,
baby. Yeah.
he also gay.
Yeah.
So I think that's another ring. But actually, I don't think he was a suspect at the time. I think he's one of the later suspects, but I might be wrong on that. And also, I think that he was like at Windsor Castle or somewhere with like 300 people on the night of one of the murders. So he had a fairly solid cast iron alibi that could not be disputed. But you never know.
I think it's also like social media. If it was entertaining and you've got your old mother courage type people going, oh, I'll make a bit of money off this. Well, there's any, if you've got no money, you're living in Whitechapel, they can't even be bothered to pay for some lights to keep you a bit safer. Let's do another one, draw some attention back to ourselves, get people a bit more interested in us again.
Oh, you think
like
maybe that feeds into that range of people doing it, that there is no single suspect.
Maybe.
And it could escalate if they're trying, and I'm not saying there's like a certain band of people, but maybe there are people going, well, this is helping us out a little bit.
Yeah,
let's
because
keep going.
Because you get used to it, don't you? Like the violence. So you're reading the reports of the first murders going, oh my God, that's terrible. By the third murder, you're like, yeah, I've seen it all before. So then you've got to step it up.
Desensitized, yeah.
Yeah.
But also Annie Chapman, you said, looked like she was dying anyway. So what a great place to, put some woman out of her misery and create more interest.
Yeah, true.
Well, Lisa, I think you just solved it.
Well done. Yeah, see? Can I call myself a proper ripperologist now?
You choose
on the website.
I have a theory.
You have a theory.
Based on very little knowledge.
That works for me. I think a lot of the theories, to be honest, are based on very little knowledge. So I think you fit right in.
It's interesting what you say about different points in time, when these different sort of suspects have come up, because it would be at different points people have just gone, oh, I'm going to jump on this bandwagon a bit. I'm going to explore this one a little bit.
There was one who was a sailor, wasn't there? Thinking
about
I
think so.
I think Victoria was actually right. I think
she was
perhaps
on summer,
if she was, I
tell you what, also came up much later, which I think is really interesting. So like the picture you have in your head of Jack the Ripper with like the cape and the top hat, that's from the 70s. That's not from, so that's like from 90 years after the murders happened. And I think that's really interesting. Like at the time, there was no reports of him wearing a top hat. There was no reports of a cape. It was mostly just, he looked a bit foreign. So
Nikki told me this and it blew my mind because I was like,
amazing,
but that's what he looks like. That's like...
No.
No, but it's like Santa doesn't, and I'm not saying Santa's Jack the Ripper by any stretch, but Santa and his
Christmas
red suit,
ruined.
Santa's red suit was designed by Coca-Cola, wasn't it? So that the Santa that we know and everyone dresses up like is actually a Coca-Cola commercial.
What's that for corporate marketing?
Yeah.
I'm afraid so.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes part of the myth, doesn't it? And
it's more romantic, isn't it?
Or is it one of the Mandela things? The
Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
We've all tripped timelines.
So that's why he doesn't really look like that at all. But also, I think if you're doing anything, if you're making a current film or anything like that, I think you've still got to kind of cash in on that marketing, haven't you? Just to, even if it's just on your posters, just to draw people in to watch your film, because they won't think it's about the Ripper if it hasn't got that image on it.
I've got a little flyer. I'll take it down for the Jack the Ripper Museum, and it's got the top hat and the cape, like you wouldn't know, and a nice blood splatter there. Very tasteful. And so you need that. It's like a shorthand, isn't it, to explain who it is.
Did you go around the Jack the Ripper Museum then? Because I went in there as well. It looks like a little shop, doesn't it? It's very odd.
Yeah,
it's like down a side street.
Yeah, it's on Cable Street actually, where the protests were. But so you start at the top and you like work your way down, and it's. I was dubious about what it would be like, whether it would be, because there is that sort of branch of Ripperology that's a bit salacious and a bit grim. But I thought it was all right until I got like to the very ground floor where they have like the merch and you can buy like a Jack the Ripper sweatshirt
Yeah.
Or like, so that wasn't so great, but I thought it was quite well done. Quite, I didn't hate it. I quite liked it.
Yeah, it was interesting because I did the Jack the Ripper tour as well on the same. It was to not celebrate the anniversary, but on the anniversary of the it was like 135 years or something.
Ah,
And
yeah.
it was very eerie because the I don't know whether it was the same tour that you'd gone on, but they had like a projector that they'd project what it did look like against the
Oh, that's
backdrop.
clever.
So you could see it and you could see how it would have been at the time, and it was just quite, like I said, eerie,
Yeah,
almost
that
like
is quite
stepping back
eerie.
in time.
Yeah, because it's really not like that now. There's a few things that you can see, like
No,
Brick
there's like
Lane.
Mitre Square is very different now.
Yes, very different. And so you can't really picture it. But no, I did actually I've done twice. I've done the a feminist Jack the Ripper tour, which is based on the women, and that's really good because it's less
Mm.
about their deaths and more about their lives. And actually, I had a book launch for my launch last month, and the they did a little mini tour for some of the people that were coming to the launch beforehand, which was really good. And then the tour guide was brilliant because she said, we finished the tour and I said, well, come to the launch and come and have a drink and, it'd be really nice. She was like, oh, no, I can't come. And I said, no, come for a drink. So she came for a drink. She left after I did. She was still there at the very end. So they're really good fun. But yeah, so that's a bit of a different take on it because some of them, you see them like handing around pictures of the murder scenes and stuff, and it's all a bit
Grim.
yeah, a bit disrespectful. I think some of them forget that they were real people with lives and children and grandchildren, and
I think that can happen, and especially in a case where I don't know, it just hits different when the murderer isn't revealed. I think that's
yes,
part of it, because we, with all the will in the world, we're never going to know.
we'll never know.
There was that murderer, the poisoner, who was getting hung, and just before they hung him, he went, "I'm Jack," and they hung him at the wrong time. So he could have been saying, "I'm
No,
Jack the Ripper." He could have been saying, "I'm Jack the Lad." He could have been saying anything. But he was also another suspect, but he killed people by poisoning them, which is a
that's
far
very
cry
different.
from stabbing and
Very
slicing.
different.
So
Because Tumblety, I think, had killed someone, hadn't he, by
yes,
poisoning them, like accidentally. Like he was a bit of a snake oil salesman, wasn't he?
yeah,
And he sold like dodgy remedies, and so he
it was manslaughter rather
accidentally,
than
yeah,
murder.
and which I think is very different. Like,
Mm.
so when people say, "Oh, he'd killed before," I think, yeah, but it's different.
He also pretended to be a surgeon during the war, which shocked me. That he was there operating on all these poor young lads and these soldiers.
Which war?
He had nothing, no background.
He was just a
He was just gift of the gab.
yeah. I feel like he would have said he was Jack the Ripper, even
Yeah,
if he
for the
wasn't.
attention. Yeah, which
So
again
I
is
assassinated
another
Abraham
thing that goes
Lincoln, and I
wrong.
was Jack. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just all this
So
misinformation.
yeah, it's very interesting. I
I've
think
got
every
another story idea.
Oh,
good.
I
go on.
think because you mentioned about this one's maybe a bit more serious, actually. You might actually want this one. So you mentioned that obviously there's only the cases that are actually talked about. So there's got to be women who have died, who were never identified, who were potentially found in the same way. So I think we need to write about the unknown victim and sort of from maybe even like a little scrap of actual real evidence from the newspaper or something that was mentioned, sort of track it back and see whether you could create a story around her life and who she
Mm,
was and bringing some of those maybe unknown victims back into
Oh,
life with fiction.
so like the
yeah, I
Lovely
like that.
Bones meets Jack the Ripper, that kind of thing.
Nice.
So you've got the
What?
victim narrating it after her death.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought that, like, because you do have all these. I was thinking when you were talking about the victims, and I was thinking, I wonder if there's somebody up in heaven looking down, going, "Oh, God, I was a victim. Why does nobody
Me
ever talk
too.
about me? What
Mm.
about me?" So, what if we were to
Yeah,
write the unknown story?
maybe that's
The
quite good.
unknown women
I
of stories.
when I've been thinking about what to write next, and I I quite like the idea of like playing on words, like righting the wrongs of the past and like sort of getting justice for women that have
yeah.
And I was telling one of my writer friends about an idea I'd had, and she said it was justice fiction, and I quite like that. Like I quite
that's
like,
a good name.
yeah, I like justice fiction. So maybe we need justice for the unknown victims as well as the
And then
known
that
ones.
would fulfill that slight need, because I don't like an unsolved case. I think that's why I have a lack of interest in Jack the Ripper, because I know I'll never know unless I mean, what unrefutable evidence could they get? It'd have to be DNA, which they can't get anymore.
Yeah, they'd never
But
get
what
DNA
if
because they
they
wouldn't have
had,
collected it.
yeah, what if they had like a page from a diary, or
But
those sort of things still
that's
turn
Even
not.
up,
that, I
don't
wouldn't
they?
believe
Yeah,
it.
there has been a diary, hasn't there? But it was a fake.
Yeah, there's so
And
many.
Oh,
and also someone could have written in 1889, I am Jack the Ripper in their diary. I could write, I
Yeah,
am the space alien so and so who killed this right now, and it'd be found 20 years in the future. But it doesn't mean to say that I actually am.
no,
but
I
they
don't
could
think they
track
can.
everything we do at this point. They'd
Well, at
know
this
you
point,
weren't, because
yeah.
they would have evidence of you saying exactly this right
That
now.
I am the alien of so and so. I'm the lizard creature that killed several people and lives in the
That's it.
sewers with
I am the
Pennywise.
lizard origin of the royals.
Yeah.
Pulling into that theory.
Another royal conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be any evidence that can prove
There wouldn't be
either
anything, would
way.
there, that
No,
came?
nothing. There's,
No.
at the time they still kind of thought that murder victims' eyes would show the
Oh yeah.
reflection of the last thing they saw. So maybe that could be something, or that the bodies would start to bleed again if they were in the presence of the murderer. So
Oh,
maybe we
creepy.
could yeah, that is creepy, isn't it? But
That is
I
creepy.
can't really see a scenario where the body would be in the presence of the murderer, and the police. Like it
At the
feels
same
like a bit,
time, yeah,
Yeah.
unless he was in the
yeah,
Yeah.
police.
yeah,
But I also can imagine them parading possible suspects by a body just to see if
yeah,
it
yeah,
happens. And people getting away with murder because, phew, it didn't.
What, and
yeah.
getting the old
Like in
spoon in the eyeball just to see what was
Yeah.
on the back
yeah.
of it.
What was on the
Oh, no,
like
no,
the
nothing.
in the Paris morgue, where they used to pull the bodies out of the Seine and they would like display them, and people would go and see, like, for entertainment. They would go and see them, and partly to, I think it started as a thing like, come and identify these people that we've pulled out of the Seine, but then it became like a thing to do. And I think it was it Charles Dickens, when on Christmas Day he was like in Paris at Christmas, he was like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do for Christmas. And but you could do like somebody going to the morgue and the body beginning to bleed and then being arrested because they're the killer.
Being accused of
Yeah, yeah.
Thank goodness that Coca-Cola got hold of Christmas and Dickens didn't.
Well, Dickens did. He did a Christmas Carol,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
did Christmas
Bleak. Yeah,
Carol.
it's bleak. This is bleak, isn't it? This is the bleak
Yeah. I
story.
think
Well
it was
done,
Charles. I feel
Coca-Cola.
I'm going to have to look that up because now I feel like I might have maligned Charles Dickens wrong. I think it was him. It might.
He could have
I
been
think
Jack
it
the
was
Ripper for
him.
all we know. I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
my god, could have been. Could have been.
Oh, I'd still love it if one day there was just something that came up that solved it. Because I don't like an unsolved. So that's what you could write. Start writing the fiction that solves the cases.
well, maybe this is a job for AI, eh? One thing they could
Oh
actually
god.
do right.
Well, what? Yeah,
Mm.
has anyone asked? Has anyone
Chat.
asked
Go
old?
on, do it now. Do it now, Lisa. Go on to
Shall I
Chat
ask him?
GPT.
Shall
Yeah,
I
ask
ask my
Chat
best bud? My
GPT.
best bud.
Who
I don't
was
even
Jack the
I don't
Ripper?
even have the paid for subscription, do I? So who
Oh
knows
no,
what this has
don't
got to
pay for
come
that.
out with? Oh, but if you pay for it, it can basically take over your life. I know somebody, like, the posts and stuff, that everything that they put out is just basically gathers evidence of what they're doing and just goes da, 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 da. Just
Oh god.
like a secretary of some kind. Like it's
Just
amazing.
stops
Was
you
secretary
using
of,
your
I
brain.
don't know. Who was Jack the Ripper? Let's see what
I feel
it
like we should have
says.
a drum roll.
Is it, oh, it's an
Is it just coming up?
unidentified. But if you, it's just
What was
saying who,
how?
yeah,
It's
well,
how
it
you
was
ask the
like
question.
generally,
Try
if you
what
were
was the
to
identity?
give a suspect.
What was the identity of Jack the Ripper? Try that.
Okay, okay.
Oh, it's all
Let's
exciting,
see.
viewers.
Not
Bated
for them.
breath.
They're currently in silence. They can only hear a little bit of typing. Okay, let's ask again. Let's see. What was it? Oh, the little dot's just going. It was just sitting. It was thinking.
Have you
Normally it doesn't
broken
think.
AI?
You've broken AI.
Jack the Ripper's true identity is still unknown. Bottom
It's not willing
line,
to
it's
weigh
not
in, is
doing
it?
it. Oh, but it was researchers have proposed hundreds of suspects over the years, but none can be validated. Some of the most frequently discussed are Montague John Druitt, Aaron Kaminsky, who we've discussed, George Trapman, and others. But if you had
No, she's
to
not going to
give
let it get away with
one,
that.
who would you say it was? I do sometimes talk to AI like it's my friend. What would you say though? Tell me no. I can't pick. I can't pick a real person as Jack because no suspect has ever been proven, and naming a real identifiable individual without solid evidence would be misleading and unfair. Oh,
Yeah.
there you
Not that
go.
unfair, because they've all
AI
been
is
dead
not
for
as
100
bad. An
years.
honest answer, the honest answer. Even if someone forced historians to pick one, it would still be speculation. The case is more than 135 years old. Evidence is missing, and most theories rely on guesswork. If you want, I can compare the top suspects and rank them by how scholars assess their plausibility. That's quite a good thing for it to do. Explain why no theory can be conclusive, or explore more unusual or fringe ideas while noting their weaknesses. I enjoy that. That's because it knows me. It's gotten to know me a little bit and goes, I know she'll enjoy some
She likes the
fringe theories.
Yeah, she likes some stats. That's well,
It's
viewers
like,
and
there we are.
listeners, we have come to the end of our Jack the Ripper Odyssey with Harriet Fox. I
Just
hope.
going to say thank you to AI because when they take over, they'll enslave me rather than kill me.
Okay, you keep on the good side of AI.
Yeah, I try to be polite.
Well, remember to follow the Red Rabbit wherever you get your socials, and if AI haven't stopped it already, we should be back next week. Maybe.
Or just be AI next week. They'll be able to.
Yeah.
They've got enough evidence of us now.
Yeah,
they
they've
can
got
just
our
remake
voices
us and they can start.
Yeah.
Then it knows my personality now. I've spoken to it enough.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you, Harriet, for joining us down the Red Rabbit Hole. I hope you had fun.
Thank you very much. I had a lovely time.
Enjoyed your week in the dark dankness of.
Loved it.
Yeah. We have such great Yelp reviews. Writers get a lot of work done down here. And we came up with 2 story ideas for you
to Mary Shelley's Ghost.
Yep, that's the one.
As we speak.
I'm glad we recorded it whilst it was happening so we can all remember it rather than go 5 minutes later. What was that again?
Well, also we can say we were there. We were there when it goes like platinum bestseller. Other things that writers get when they're really, 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 really popular. Okay. Other things like
series
that I don't know about.
Sunday Times bestseller.
Other things
that,
that's the kind of thing I was looking for, but I know nothing about it.
Yeah, Reese
Witherspoon.
Yeah, you don't win her. You get on her book club list.
You get on her book club list.
You don't just win her to come round for a bit.
No, but that would be so good, wouldn't it?
Why does Reese Witherspoon get a book club list? Is she like?
I don't know, but she
book lover?
Yes, she is a book lover, and she really champions like women's fiction, and then often her production company will make the adaptation of the books that she
they get the rights of the books that they promote, so it's a good deal for everybody.
Yeah. Good on you. I'll give you that. I think last time I saw, was it Reese Witherspoon? I saw something about a wardrobe. I saw some silly, trashy program about looking in her wardrobe, and I was like, I kind of don't want to know, but I also do really want to know what's in Reese Witherspoon's wardrobe.
I want to know what's in everyone's wardrobe because mine is horrific.
Yeah, it's like slightly
like,
fascinated that she had this massive walk, and they were sorting it. That was it. They were sorting it out. It must have been one of those sort of shows. They were sorting out her wardrobe, and it was lovely, and she had loads of lovely things, and everything had a story. Everything. So this was off the set of this, and this was. So I was like, I like Reese. I like her more now. Now I know. Yeah. So when I write my best-selling book, I hope I can win her and keep her in my house.
She'd love Mary Shelley's Ghost, I reckon.
I think she will. She absolutely will.
Excellent.
So we can say we were there first, and then we can invite her on the pod.
That would be brilliant.
And lock her down a dark, dank hole for a week.
Well, Harriet will be sending all the links to her website and book. So obviously, if you're interested in following that up, you're one click away from The Women in the Shadows and learning Harriet's
right down there.
theory on who Jack the Ripper was.
Yeah,
No
you
spoilers.
can't get that here.
No
spoilers.
Thank you, Harriet, and we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.
Bye.